Hello everyone, I hope all of you are fine. I am Avneet Kaur. Today we will start with 8th chapter that talks about cell, structure and functions. Let's move on to the goals and objectives of this chapter. The topics which we will be covering in this chapter are: first, cell and its discovery; second, unicellular and multicellular organisms; third, shape of cells; fourth, size of cells; fifth, structure and functions of cell membrane, cell wall, and cytoplasm; sixth, structure and functions of nucleus, plastids, and vacuole; seventh, difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells; eighth, comparison of plant and animal cells. Here is the mind map which represents overview of the whole chapter. Everyone should draw this mind map in your notebooks for the better understanding of the chapter. You all would be familiar with this thing that each living organism has many organs. As you have already studied in class 7th about the digestive organs which together constitute the digestive system. And each organ in the system performs different functions such as digestion, absorption, etc. Furthermore, each organ is further made up of smaller parts called tissues. And what are tissues? A tissue is a group of similar cells performing a specific function. What I mean to say here is that all plants and animals, whether small or large, are made up of small units that are called cells. Cells form tissues and tissues form organs. An aggregate of organs form an organ system. For example, nervous system, digestive system, respiratory system, and many more. All these organ systems work together to run a complex organism like you and me. Isn't it amazing? But what about plants? What organs do plants have? Leaves, roots, and stems are some of the organs of plants. Like animal tissues, plant tissues are also made up of tiny units of cells. Different organs of plant perform some specific functions. For example, roots help in absorption of water and minerals. Leaves are responsible for the synthesis of food. So, from here, what we can conclude? All organisms, whether plants or animals, are made up of smaller parts called organs. Organs are made up of still smaller parts, that is tissues, which in turn are made up of cells. So, we can say that cell in a living organism is the basic structural unit. Cells may be compared to bricks. As bricks are assembled to make a building, similarly, cells are assembled to make the body of every organism. So, all organisms are made up of cells. All the basic chemical and physiological functions of living beings, for example, repair, growth, movement, digestion, are carried out inside the cells only. So, we can say that cell is a basic structural and functional unit of all the living organisms. Now, let's talk about discovery of the cell. How was cell discovered and by whom? Cells were discovered by Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke in 1665 observed slices of cork under a simple magnifying device. But what is cork? Cork is the part of a bark of a tree. He took thin slices of cork and observed them under a microscope. So, what he observed under a microscope? He noticed partitioned boxes and compartments in cork slice. These boxes appeared like a honeycomb. He also noticed that one box was separated from the other by a wall, or we can say that partition. Hooke coined the term cell for each box. In this way, cell was discovered first time by Robert Hooke. The buildings, though are built up of similar bricks, but they may have different designs, shapes, and sizes. Similarly, in this living world, organisms differ from one another, but all are made up of cells. Here, one question is given. A hen's egg can be seen easily. Is it a cell or a group of cells? What will be the answer of this question? The egg of a hen represents a single cell, and it is big enough that it can be seen by unaided eye. But how do scientists observe and study the living cells? The instrument which is used to see cells is microscope. So microscope is an instrument which is used to magnify the very small objects which cannot be seen with the naked eye. It was first discovered by Leeuwenhoek. The ancient microscope is the microscope which discovers the cell. They use microscopes which magnify objects, and the various stains are used to color the parts of the cell to study the detailed structure of the cells. Today, we know a lot about cell structure and its functions because of the improved microscopes, which are having high magnification. So, now we have learnt about cell and its discovery. Now, can you guess the number of cells in a tall tree or in a huge animal like an elephant? The number runs into billions and trillions. Even human body has trillions of cells which vary in shapes and sizes. Different groups of the cells perform variety of functions. So, on the basis of the number of cells, organisms can be classified into two categories, that is, unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. As the word uni means one and multi means many. So, unicellular organisms are those organisms that have only a single cell, while organisms consisting of many cells are called multicellular organisms. Amoeba, bacteria, paramecium are some of the examples of unicellular organism. On the other hand, plants and animals are some of the examples of multicellular organisms. All of you would be amazed to know that an organism with billions of cells actually begins their life as a single cell, which is the fertilized egg. The fertilized egg cell then multiplies and the number of cells increase as the development proceeds. So all the organisms have actually begun their life as a single cell. As unicellular organisms are made up of a single cell, so a single cell organism performs all the necessary functions that a multicellular organism performs. For example, if we talk about amoeba, amoeba is a single-celled organism. But amoeba captures and digests food, respires, excretes, grows, and reproduces. So all these functions are being performed by a single cell. Similar functions in the multicellular organisms are carried out by group of specialized cells forming different tissues. And tissues in turn form the organs. Organs then form the organ system, which in turn form a complete organism. Now, let's talk about the shape of the cells. The shape of the cell depends upon its function. The shape of the cell may change or it may remain same. This figure shows different cells such as blood, muscle, and nerve cell of the human beings. The different shapes are related to their specific functions. Some of the cells are round and spherical in shape. For example, red blood cells of human beings. While some of the cells are long and pointed at both of the ends. They exhibit a spindle shape. For example, smooth muscle fiber of the human beings. Even the cells may be branched. For example, nerve cells. Nerve cells is branch-shaped cell. Nerve cell receives and transfers messages for helping to control and coordinate the working of different parts of the body. From this figure, can you tell me what is the shape of amoeba? Definitely, all of you will say that the shape appears irregular. In fact, amoeba has no definite shape unlike other organisms. It keeps on changing its shape. And if we observe this figure closely, can you observe these projections coming out from its body? These projections are called pseudopodia. Now, all of you would be wondering that what advantage does amoeba derive by changing its shape? The change in shape is due to the formation of pseudopodia, which facilitates movement and also helps amoeba to capture its food. Now, as we have discussed about shape of the cells, can you guess which part of the cell give it shape? All the components of the cell are enclosed in a membrane. It is this membrane which provides shape to the cells of both plants and animals. However, in plant cells, cell wall is an additional covering over the cell membrane which gives the shape and rigidity to these cells. Now, let's talk about the size of the cells. The size of the cells in living organisms may be as small as micrometer or it may be as large as a few centimeters. However, most of the cells are microscopic in size and they cannot be seen with unaided eye. We have to use the microscope in order to observe the cells. The smallest cell is 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer in bacteria, and the largest cell is an ostrich egg, and it is 17 centimeter in diameter. In human beings, the smallest cell is red blood cell and its size is 6 to 8 micrometer, and the longest cell is nerve cell and its size can be up to 100 microns. Here, Paheli has one question for you. Are the cells in an elephant larger than the cells in a rat? No. The size of the cells has no relation with the size of the body of the animal or the plant. It is not necessary that the cells in the elephant will be much bigger than those in a rat. The size of the cells has no relation with the size of the organism. The size of the cell is related to its function. For example, nerve cells. Both in the elephant and rat, nerve cells are long and branched, and they perform the same function, that is to transfer the messages. So, in this video lecture, the topics which we have covered are cell and its discovery. Also, we learnt about number of cells, size of the cells, and shape of the cells. Rest of the topics will be covered in the next video lecture. Thank you.